All right, Robert, good to have you on the call. Thank you for, being willing to share your story, with the people looking into lead hackers. We really appreciate it. Why don't you introduce yourself and a little bit about your company and what you mainly focus on within the mortgage space?
Sure. I've been in the mortgage business for 30 years. My company, Orange County Capital, we mainly focus on paper stuff. But with the challenging market that's happened over the last 5 years, it's been a little bit of a struggle. And so we've moved more into hard money, reverse mortgage, pretty much anything that we can do to try to capture as much as possible. And so lead hackers has, enabled us to kind of open up a different market because we're getting the leads really dried up for paper, refinance, obviously with the rates going up, purchase business just kind of died out. So it was very hard to find a lead source or a viable option that can keep the income stream coming. And that's one thing that, I've been very happily surprised about lead hackers is that I'm able to find a completely different source of loans that I really maybe should have even been doing back in the beginning, but it was everything else was just so good. And so now, I'm doing hard money loans. I think I've done more hard money loans in the last year and a half than I did in the last 29 years.
That's
I've
so
done
crazy.
probably as much reverse mortgage that in the last year and a half. And it's just expanding. So yeah, it's been a lot of learning, for me as an old dog who was used to what worked, and now
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot of new stuff.
What were you doing before as far as marketing and how you were getting your business?
I was buying from, I bought from every lead company. I mean, for many years, I didn't need to buy leads just
Yeah.
because it was, business had been so good. I'd been in the market for so long. I had a good, book of people that I could just go back and churn loans on. But, I bought from Lending Tree. I bought from lowermybills.com, Zillow, I've done everybody. And, it's usually a 6 month commitment,
Yeah.
and you can't turn on and off the lead. So if they, you can't decide what times to bring them in. So you have to be available all the time. A lot
Yeah.
of leads you can't do the speed to lead. And that's the biggest thing about lead hackers that I really enjoy is the customization and being able to control when, I can ramp up, or if, hey, family stuff comes on, I can slow it down or turn it off. And that's been just amazing.
That that's actually I love that you brought up that aspect of it because one thing I didn't even think about is a lot of lead generation type services you are in that commitment, and if you do slow things down sometimes that can even violate agreements and contracts in place because it's like, well, we have to generate you leads, so I didn't even think about that because yeah, in lead hackers being able to turn your ads on and off, select whichever ads you want to run and control your
Yep.
budget and all that stuff. So that's actually huge. I didn't even think about that.
And
Uh,
switch from one program to another program, which is hard to do with them. The other thing that I didn't like about them was it seemed like the bigger companies that had, you know, ad spans that I couldn't compete with were getting quality leads. I would even call people, and usually you have to share it. It's usually four other
yeah.
people, which is another tough thing to get over. And they have systems where their calls get out before mine do, because I will call right when I get that lead. Like I had it set up to call right away, and the person's still, yeah, I talked to a guy a minute ago, and I'm like, oh, how
Oh
did that
my
happen?
gosh.
So
So more
yeah,
expensive leads and they were shared.
absolutely, yeah, you
Yeah,
can
that's
buy
crazy.
exclusive, but then it's astronomical on price.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's a good point. And you touched on something being able to switch programs because something you talked about earlier was how you were doing like a paper and refis and that kind of stuff, but how you discovered some other programs. How did lead hackers help you discover some of these other programs
Well,
and avenues you
I
can pursue?
really shied away from doing HELOCs, for example, just because of small loan amounts. And, to make money, you have to charge up front. In the retail market, there was better products that were impossible to compete with. But after running the HELOC ads just out of desperation, because there was nothing else out there, I started noticing that a lot of these people, don't fit the HELOC model. and they fit more profitable models like reverse mortgage or hard money or whatever it might be. Now I'm starting to do home equity agreements, which seem to be catching a ton of fallout from my HELOC leads that I wasn't able to help before. Now I can. So just learning all these products to help me catch more flies, that come in, really has helped out a lot. And I would never have learned that if I didn't branch out into HELOCs.
That's amazing. Wait, did the community have anything to do with that, or was it more just you kind of turning on the ad and just kind of seeing, just experiencing it yourself and seeing how you like looking or seeing the opportunity that was available within those HELOC leads?
Yeah, I mean the community is great. Obviously, everybody always gives good input. You have your regulars on there, Jason Brothers, and others, Mike Weiss now. But yeah, they did mention some of it. But I think it was just realizing that, hey, this doesn't fit, but this other thing does fit. And I wasn't comfortable with hard money, but I said, you know what, I better get some hard money, lenders. And so I went
Yeah.
out and I started finding people that can do that. Same thing with DSCR. I was doing DSCR, and there was a lot of commercials type stuff that I was getting. And so I said, okay, I need to learn about commercial stuff, and so it's made me a much more well-rounded person to offer all these different products and not miss out on an opportunity, which I used to do before because I mean, for a good reason, business was so good, I didn't
Yeah.
need to think about that stuff. But in today's, challenging environment, you need to be a Swiss Army knife. You have to be able to pull out whatever it is that's needed for that time so you can, get a better ROI.
That's huge. The fact that you were willing to figure that stuff out is what what I see separates a lot of the top producers from those that aren't producing as much, even if they were before. You mentioned like the whole old dog new tricks type thing. There are a lot of people that aren't willing to do that. Like, well, no, I only do this thing, or oh, this lead didn't qualify for a HELOC, therefore that lead is now worthless. It's like, well, no, if you have a fundamental understanding of your products, it's like, okay, well, based on what they're saying, they don't qualify for this, but here's what we can do. And you're able to put them in a position because that's ultimately what your job is as a loan officer is you get these people on the phone and learn about their situation and you're going to do
Exactly.
what's best for them. And it's not always the thing that they opted in for. So I thought that
Absolutely.
was cool that
You
you
have to
mentioned
have an
that.
open mind from the beginning. Just because they're a HELOC lead doesn't mean you can't immediately start thinking HELOC. And
Yeah.
I admit I was a dinosaur. I was set in my ways and I was very rigid. And desperation from the market and plus lead hackers, their platform helped me to open my mind and see that, yeah, this is viable. Because when it comes down to it, you'll change if you see the money there.
Yeah.
No, so you'll chase it. So it's been really good.
That's good to hear. Yeah, we have another lead hacker who had never done a DSCR loan before ever. And same thing, she was kind of getting a little desperate. Like, I don't know what to do. It's like, well, hey, why don't we try this? And now DSCR is all she does. Like, that's her bread and butter.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was cool watching that. So it's cool hearing you say very similar things as far as what your journey was like. I'm curious, since being with lead hackers, how many loans have you closed off the
I
leads?
that's probably my worst attribute is the back end tracking because
Gotcha.
I'm the main loan officer. I originate, and so I'm not as good as tracking. But
Rough,
it
rough
took a
ballpark.
it took a while to get going because of I was mainly seasoning with Pixel with the purchase leads, but just like last quarter, I probably closed um, probably 14 leads.
That's
And
amazing.
I had two reverse mortgages. One was a $27,000 commission, which is, unique, but it was great. I redid a lady's hard money loan, the same person twice, and I made about 10,000 each time on that. So, I did some HELOCs. I did, a refinance. So yeah, it spreads it around. But yeah, last quarter was great. And now this quarter, I'm really looking forward to because now I've tweaked a few things and the leads are coming in really well. And I think I have a good handle on it and I've expanded into home equity agreements. And so again, I think that's just going to catch more stuff. So I think this quarter is going to be even better.
That is incredible, man. Congrats on your wins.
Thank
That's
you.
huge.
Thank
That
you.
I it's always nice hearing the wins because that's why we built the company. That's why we do it, is to help you guys grow your book of business. And you weren't joking as you were saying your wins. It was a total Swiss Army knife of wins. Like it was across all different kinds of loan products. And it's so important for people to understand that you have to have an open mind with that stuff. You have to be flexible because if you become a lone ninja and you know your product so well that you can talk to somebody and it just increases the likelihood that you're able to convert leads into business and ultimately what that means is that you're helping them, achieve the goals that they're after as customers, which is huge. So I appreciate you sharing the wins there.
Absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
what uh what would you say to anybody who's on the fence and about lead hackers and thinking about, hey, should I do it? Should I not? What would your advice be to them?
Well, one thing is patience. You need to learn. It's like anything, if you're starting out in any business, you're learning, and at the beginning, it takes a while. And then once you actually gain knowledge of the product, you get, much more efficient. But, when I was starting Lead Hackers, I didn't know the product, the system well. I didn't know all the features of the CRM. I didn't know, a lot, but attending all the live help that you guys do, the strategy calls, every week you learn so much. And so I've really learned how to use all the tools. And in any lead, source you do, you got to stick with it. And I didn't have much success in the first 6 months. But I stuck with it mainly because the CRM was so great. You know, even
That's
if
so
I
cool.
even if I left lead hackers for whatever reason, I would still keep the CRM just because it makes my life so much easier. It does so much for me as far as automation and just putting it in front of me. Here's what you need to do today. And again, because I have so much stuff going on, I need that organization. And
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of CRMs, and this is the best CRM I've ever used. And the ease of use to be able to create ads and just customize it, I love it. So I think, it's, in the beginning when you don't know about all this stuff, it might be a little bit daunting, but after a few months and attending the meetings, which is I think is super important, the CRM meeting, the strategy calls, the help, all that stuff. I don't see anybody that would not see the value in it.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for that. Uh, I I'm so glad that was your advice because uh, so I've been in sales my whole career, right? And I did my the bulk of my sales career was actually in insurance, and the my production really started taking off when I got my CRM organized. And something that I had learned from that experience was the CRM should do the thinking for you. It should show you like, hey, who are you following up with? What did you talk about last? So the fact that that's something that you enjoy about it, I appreciate because we built it very deliberately to help simplify your workflow and do the thinking for you of who to follow up with when and what you're following up about, those types of things. So I'm glad that's part of what you shared.
No, absolutely. And one other thing I mentioned is having access to owners is very rare. And
Yeah,
so, being able to talk to you and Alex, and it's you guys will listen to us, and we say, hey, this is a good idea. And you're not going to accept everything because it has to generalize for everybody. It can't be specific for one person, but you might, be willing to do a customization for that person.
right.
But being able to have input with the owners of the company and have them interested in your input because they're looking to make their product better, that is very rare, and you don't get that. I've been with a lot of other CRMs, and I've never had that.
Oh my gosh. You're making me feel all good.
Good, you should.
But and it's and not just because of what you're saying about the company, but because of the results you've gotten. Because again, it's if if we weren't able to help you guys, it would not be worth doing. It would not be worth doing. It'd be a total waste of everyone's time. And I'm very mission driven, so I have to believe in the thing that we're doing, and I really do think we're doing something awesome here. And so to hear your experience and what it's done for you is really huge for not just us but for the community as well. People need to hear these things. They need to understand the time it takes, the learning curves, the aspect of it, because where people get in trouble is hopping from one shiny thing to the other. And the reality is that saying the grass is greener wherever you water it is very true the majority of the time. You know, like obviously you might come across a dud, but for the most part, it's usually because you just haven't stuck to something long enough. And most people suck at sticking to things and
Yeah,
anything. It does not even just business, like anything. People just don't stick to things. So I'm glad that's what you shared. I think it's important for people to understand that hey, if you're ready to go and you're ready to actually put your head down and learn something new and put in the work, it could it can fundamentally change your business from that point forward. So, Robert, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me and share your experience with me and anybody else who's watching this video who might be looking into lead hacker. So I appreciate you, man.
absolutely. Happy and very satisfied. And hopefully we can do another one in 6 months and it'll be even better.
Appreciate that, man.